Esse bloco de dados सत्यवच्च नमो नमः।
Then in 1943, the British found that the Japanese who had already taken Burma, were at the doors of India, approaching Bengal. By their tactic known as the denial policy, the British sank many Indian boats carrying food and destroyed large rice crops, fearing that they would fall into the hands of the enemy. This left local Indians starving and without the boats they needed for trade. The famine that ensued was the worst that had hit Bengal in 150 years. The government removed all control of food costs, and those who could not afford to buy at the skyrocketing prices died in the streets of Calcutta. Srila Prabhupada. I have got experience. The government created artificial famine. The war was going on. So Mr. Churchill's policy was to keep the people in scarcity, so they will volunteer to become soldiers. So this policy was executed. Big men. They collected the rice. Rice was selling at 6 rupees per mound. All of a sudden, it came to 50 rupees per mound. I was in the grocer shop purchasing, and all of a sudden, the grocer said, No, I am not going to sell any more. At that moment, the price was 6 rupees per mound. So suddenly he was not going to sell. A few hours later, I went back to purchase, and the rice had gone up to 50 rupees per mound. The government appointed agents began to purchase the rice and other commodities which are daily necessities. They can offer any price because the currency is in their hands. They can print so-called papers, $100 and pay. A man becomes satisfied thinking, oh, I have $100, but it is a piece of paper. That was the policy. You have no money, no rice, so another avenue is open. Yes, you become a soldier. You get so much money. People out of poverty would go there. I have seen it. No rice was available in the market, and people were hungry. They were dying. Abai managed to purchase just enough for his own family to survive, but he saw the beggar population increase by the hundreds. Month after month, he saw the footpaths and open spaces congested with beggars, cooking their food on improvised stoves and sleeping in the open or beneath the trees. He saw starving children rummaging in the dustbins for a morsel of food. From there, it was but a step to fighting with the dogs for a share of the garbage. And this also became a familiar sight in the Calcutta streets. The British had little time to spare from their war efforts, and they worked only to save those lives essential for the fight. For the common people, the empire's prescription was uniform and simple: starvation. Srila Prabhupada. One American gentleman was present at that time. He remarked, people are starving in this way. In our country, there would have been revolution. Yes, but the people of India are so trained that in spite of artificial famine, they did not commit theft, stealing others' property. People were dying. Still, they thought, all right, God has given. That was the basic principle of Vedic civilization. Abai knew that under the laws of nature, there was no scarcity. By God's arrangement, the earth could produce enough food. The trouble was man's greed. There is no scarcity in the world, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had said. The only scarcity is of Krishna consciousness. And this was how Abai saw the 1943 famine. Now more than ever, this spiritual vision was relevant. Krishna consciousness was the prime necessity. How else could man be checked from his evil propensities to become greedy, hoard, make war, and thus create misery for millions? He had seen the heinous activities of the British in India. They're cutting off the thumbs of the weavers so that Indian-made cotton goods could not compete with the foreign-made cloth. They're shooting down of unarmed, innocent citizens. They're creating artificial famine. They're propagating the myth that Indian civilization was primitive. Still, he did not believe that an independent Indian government would necessarily be an improvement. Unless the leadership was Krishna conscious, and neither Gandhi nor Subhash Chandra Bose was, then the government would be able to provide no real solutions, only stopgap measures. Without obedience to the laws of God as expressed by the scriptures and sages, governments would only increase human suffering. Then Calcutta was bombed day after day. The bombing was concentrated in specific areas, such as the Kittapur port facility and Shama Bazar in North Calcutta, very near Abai's home at Sitakanta Banjari Lane. American planes had been leaving from airfields near Calcutta for targets in China and Japan, so the air raids on Calcutta seemed an inevitable retaliation. It was the Japanese striking back. Or was it? Some said it was the forces of Subhash Chandra Bose, since the bombs fell mostly in the European quarter. But for the people of Calcutta, it made little difference who was attacking. After the first bombing, people evacuated the city. Blackouts were imposed, and at night, the entire city was dark. Srila Prabhupada. The whole Calcutta became vacant. Perhaps only myself and a few others remained. I sent my sons to Navadvip. Of course, my daughter was married. My wife refused to go out of Calcutta. She said, I'll be bombed. but I will not go. So I had to remain in Calcutta. I have seen bombing in Calcutta all night. I was just eating when there was the siren. So the arrangement was that in your house would be the shelter room. I was hungry, so I first finished eating. Then I went to the room and the bombing began. Chi, kya. I was thinking that this was also Krishna in another form, but that form was not very lovable. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today is the Sri Krishna Saradiya Rasa Yatra. Also the disappearance of Sri Murari Gupta as well as Lakshmi Puja. Now let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They're just like desired trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone. They are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls.